Bechukotai, the original sin, and the Shekinah of the third temple. The last Torah portion in Vayikra, Leviticus, is found in Leviticus 26 verse 3 through 27 verse 34, and is called Bechukotai, which means in my statutes, from the phrase, if you walk in my statutes, in chapter 26 verse 3. The root chok connotes a kind of commandment that is permanent, and may also be elusive in meaning. They may not make sense to the natural mind that is without faith. In Bechukotai, Hashem promises blessings upon Israel if they will keep the Torah, and curses if they do not. He promises that if the people of Israel will keep his commandments, they will enjoy material prosperity and dwell securely in their homeland. But he also delivers a harsh rebuke and warning of the exile, persecution, and other evils that will befall them if they abandon their covenant with him. Nevertheless, Hashem says that even when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, nor will I ever abhor them, to destroy them and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God. The last chapter discusses laws pertaining to vows, valuations, and tithes, and how to calculate the values of different types of pledges made to God, and the mitzvah of tithing produce and livestock. Original sin. Some deny any notion of the idea of original sin, or Adam's sin of disobedience in eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and its effects upon the rest of the human race. However, this Torah portion proves, at the very least, that failure to keep God's commandments can have negative consequences that harm not only us as sinners, but our environment, others living in it, and therefore future generations as well. After all, the exile of the Jewish people finally happened because of generations of sin. Innocent children had to bear the burden of the exile and other punishments as well, just as the descendants of Adam and Eve had to suffer the original sin of Adam as well as Eve. Don't even innocent children suffer when their parents make wrong choices? They can suffer not only on a physical level, but sometimes, depending on the sin, it can even infect them on a spiritual or genetic level. But besides just the natural consequences of our sin, Hasidic Rabbi Shmuel Bornsztain from the early 1900s wrote, in the days of the Messiah, the world will return back to the state that the first Adam found himself in before the sin. Sin is rooted in the tree of the knowledge, which brought about a loss of innocence. The correction for this sin came at the time of the receiving of the Holy Torah, when they said, we will hear and we will obey. Shem Mishmuel. So the loss of innocence and state of perfection in the world was due to Adam's sin. But we have the key to correct this sin, which is the blueprint for how humanity should walk, which is the Torah. Yeshua came to elucidate and uphold this Torah, and inspired and empowered his followers to do likewise. As Romans 5 verses 18 and 19 states, just as it was through one offense that all people came under condemnation, so also it is through one righteous act that all people come to be considered righteous. For just as through the disobedience of the one man, many were made sinners, so also through the obedience of the other man, many will be made righteous. The Shekinah and the third temple. Now let's look at Leviticus 26 verse 11 from Bechukotai, which says, moreover, I will make my dwelling among you, and my soul will not reject you. Of course, no building can contain the Creator because he is infinite and he is without shape or form, according to Deuteronomy 4. However, the temple in Jerusalem was the place where God put his name, and he placed his dwelling presence, his Shekinah, there in the most holy place. The Hasidic commentary Yahut Moshiach states that the words, my soul will not reject you, means, I will not withdraw my dwelling presence from you again. Rabbi Moshe Al-Shich from the 16th century explains that this is referring not to the first and second temples that were destroyed, but to the third temple, which will never be destroyed. Rabbi Moshe wrote, And this is what he says here. I will put my dwelling place, which is the work of my hands, among you, and in your presence forever. My soul will not reject you to drive you from my land, as it will be after they establish the first temple and the second temple. And in the words, I will make my dwelling place among you, he refers to the light of the Lord, which will be prepared and restored to the earth. As the prophets state in various places, Come, house of Jacob, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Isaiah 2 verse 5. Ezekiel the prophet was given the plans for this third temple in Ezekiel 40 through 46. Some deny that a third temple will be built, but Isaiah 51 verse 11 says that not one word from God's mouth shall return void. The prophets anticipated a literal physical temple in Jerusalem that all nations will one day come to worship the God of Israel. They will even bring burnt offerings and sacrifices, as Isaiah 56 verse 7 prophesies. I will bring them to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and sacrifices will be accepted on my altar, for my house will be called a house of prayer for all peoples. In that temple, the Shekinah will return and never leave again, and the effects of the original sin of Adam will no longer hold sway in this world ever again. May it be soon and in our time. Mashiach bo. This lesson is from the series Yeshua and the Torah. To get the whole series, please subscribe to our online family yeshiva at join.beneiavraham.com. We are a traditional Jewish congregation inspired by Mashiach. We help Jews who believe in Yeshua do a formal return to Judaism. We also help non-Jews who are drawn to Torah do a formal conversion to Judaism. We live stream our services every Shabbat on Zoom, so you can join us online. If you are near Dallas, you can also visit us in person on Shabbat. Learn more at beneiavraham.com.